This is WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. It's the Rocket Shop. Good evening. I'm your host, Tom Proctor, and with me tonight is Chad Hollister. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Tom?
A great deal and not a lot. It's
You're a busy man. You just came in. You walked right into hair and makeup. They fiddled around with you, took your photo, and then you sat right down.
Thankfully, I look great natural.
You look amazing. Yeah, you've got a gift. You've got a gift for radio. You look amazing for radio.
I've been told that I have got the face for radio.
Yeah.
Chad, we always love kicking off with the song. So what have you got for us?
It's a world debut. I just finished it a couple days ago, and it's called Radio Silence. Radio silence, hard to hear the darkest days of all your fears. Radio silence, the end is near. I can't believe you're still here. You speak just for you, empty promises, no sense of truth. Can't even say your name without a wince, without shame. Oh, radio silence, hard to hear the darkest days and all your fears. Radio silence, your end is near. I can't believe you're still here. You place the blame on everyone else, it's insane. Yeah, they took your lies away, but in your world always stay. We got the radio silence, it's hard to hear the darkest days and face your fears. Radio silence, your end is near. Can't believe you're still here. Mm-hmm. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 yes, do, do, do. Heaven knows how these things go. Sometimes an overflow of a soul lost too soon. Better days, we look to you. Oh, radio silence, it's hard to hear the brighter days to face your fears. Radio silence, music to my ears. Voices changing brings me to tears. Oh, radio silence was hard to hear. Brighter days to face those fears. Oh, no more radio silence. Music to my ears. Voices changing brings me to tears. Voices changing brings me to tears. Voices changing brings me to tears.
Chad Hollister there with a Big Heavy World exclusive Radio Silence. So Chad, thank you so much for coming in.
It's great to be back at Big Heavy. Man, I love this place. I love Jimmy, the whole team. Everybody's always so kind and welcoming when I come here. I've been to, I think, every venue that he's ever taken over, and just, everybody that's always here is passionate about music. And that's so cool. And you and I were just talking before we started about the amazing thing of archiving Vermont music. And Jim's the only one with the patience. Like us music, I'll speak for myself. Man, I'm lazy when it comes to archiving. I've got so many CDs. Actually, Jim, I'd like to hire you to archive my catalog. But yeah, so it's a great thing, you know. And there's so much history in this state. You know, people know certainly, of course, know about you know, the Fish Fellas and Grace Potter, but there's so much more. You know, I love their music, but it's so much deeper than that. You know, and not to take anything away from bands that have succeeded out of Vermont. You know, there's many of them, but there's so much depth in this state. It's crazy. Like in our town, I live in Worcester, Vermont now, and like just down the road is my good buddy Chris Gruen, who's going to be doing this gig with me. Phil Carr, who's one of my favorite drummers. We used to trade off in the Channel 2 dub band at Club Toast with Quinny and Franco and Greg Matzes and Tom Baggett and Jeff Cooper and all that, you know. So the history is just so rich. So to have somebody that's taken the time just means a lot to us musicians, you know, that tout Vermont as home, because it's not anything that I think any of us take lightly, and I certainly use it in my brand because I'm so proud to be a Vermonter. But people love, especially during these times, quarantine times, people are buying second, third, and fourth homes sight unseen because they want to be safe. Mm-hmm. But please stay away from us. Stop buying all the real estate. Okay? No, but yeah.
I second that as someone that's looking at their first home this weekend. Yeah, I think one thing that's marvelous about Big Heavy World is just the breadth of genres and the sorts of people that come through here. We can have hip-hop artists one week, and then experimental jazz the next, and then classic rock the week after that. It runs the gamut. You've been playing for a long time in this state, and as you said, you're very proud of your heritage here. Past 20 years, you've been rocking in Vermont and elsewhere. Tell us all how it got started for you.
Man, you know, I was a kid growing up in Burlington, and I was a drummer. One of my favorite stories is at 242 Main, where we were playing down at 242, and upstairs was Blue Oyster Cult. And they came down and, you know, showed up at our sound check. And the drummer was this big meathead, and you know, he had these like 20B drumsticks in his pants, like, me drummer, me, you know, like he's gonna beat you with the sticks or something. And we were like, holy guys, it's Blue Oyster Cult, you know. And sure enough, it was Buck Derma, and he's like, hey, you guys sound good. And it was like kind of like a Wayne's World moment, like, oh, we're not worthy. And he said, oh, what's the name of the band? And we're like, oh, the Imaginates. And he said, oh, cool name. History, the next record of Blue Oyster Cult was Imagine Us, O-U-S. Just saying. I never heard from Buck on that one. That was a story I was going to tell.
You never gave you royalties for that one?
I haven't seen him yet, but I got to get on my ASCAP, you know, album naming portion and see if they've come in yet. But yeah. So I started as a kid and a drummer. I was in the Blue Rock band and the Imaginates, and then things kept moving. Went to UVM, toured around the world with a show group called Up With People. That was amazing. And came back to my buddy Jeff Wick, who I played with in the Blue Rock band and the Imaginates, and we started a duo called Chad and Jeff, with Jeff on acoustic guitar and myself on congas. And we would play RJ's, Reuben James, every Wednesday night. We would play the Last Chance. We'd play at Rasputin's. We'd play anywhere they'd have us. But and then we toured around New England and did that. And then Jeff, we made an album at White Crow, which was right there on Marble Avenue. And had a blast doing that, but it just didn't happen quite as quickly as Jeff thought it might. So now he's an attorney in Burlington. So when you settle your house, you can hit up Jeff Wick to close it for you. Yeah.
Buying my house.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you've had a music career that's really undulated. I mean, world tour, back then to RJ's, and then you've opened for massive names like Dylan and Paul Simon, Tom Petty. I mean, how does it feel to go from, world tour to RJ's to Dylan? Awesome.
I mean, I think there's a whole new mindset these days with COVID hitting. I mean, we were on tour in Colorado, and we cut it a couple weeks short, and just flew home. And I've been home ever since. Was so excited that I got to put on pants today and actually drive my car somewhere. It's like, so I think perspective is, we have a whole new vision as musicians, I've always been one to appreciate every gig, I've played in stadiums to 30,000 people, and I've played to nobody. I mean nobody. The bartender felt so bad at this one gig that he just started feeding us these shots called oatmeal cookies. And then he broke open this bottle of tequila, and that was pretty much our pay for the gig. But so I think just being thankful to play and make music, it's a gift that I certainly don't take lightly. And getting to share it through you guys, and then have Jim archive it. It's like a double gig, because you do the gig, and then Jim's archiving all along the way. He's actually over there archiving right now. Jim, how's the archiving going, man? The photo session was really serious with Bob Engineering, by the way, and Alexa's my number one fan right there. She's amazing. But the lighting was incredible. Jim lit me up like a Christmas tree.
I think that's the most interaction we've had from Jim at a rocket shop ever. So thank you for bringing Jim into this.
Yeah, I know. The elusive Jim Lockridge. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
And so, as you said, COVID allowed you to come back home, take off your pants, and concentrate on your own music and kind of get back in touch with Vermont. Tell us a little bit about your lockdown experience and how that's been for you creatively.
Well, I'm a dad, and my kids are 13 and 15. So as we hear people talking about the silver lining, I think getting to hang with them and my beautiful wife, Katie, kids are Riley and Bodi, has been, I think, a blessing for all of us. There are times when they're like, Dad, don't you have somewhere to go? My wife, I would be gone every weekend. We've been going through old videos and stuff, and there's all these videos of me going, hey, it's Daddy, guys. Here's my hotel, or here's this house I'm staying in, and, it's not happening. So I think my experience has also been that I'm taking courses. I'm taking a course on how to get my music into TV, film, and sync. And it's a whole process. The way that you create the music is not necessarily as I would as an artist. It's a little bit more generic. If the songs that I'm writing were like my family, songs for sync movie and TV and film would be more like distant cousins, so they're not as personal, and just a little more general. So I've been learning about that, and as much what not to do as what to do, and it's been amazing. It's such a learning thing, and just getting my studio together at the house. I've got the world debut was right here, and then I also put Radio Silence on my YouTube channel. So I'm working actually on promoting myself, which I've never been able to do because I've always been on the road. So, the Chad Hollister YouTube channel is going to have some real cool stuff to it where I'm going to be laying down. I just laid down Radio Silence yesterday, and the debut went up today at the same time as your show. And then I'm also going to put like stories behind the songs, so have a different thing, but just working on new music, but just working on actual promotion. What a concept.
So has this allowed you to interact with your fans in a bit more of a deeper way?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the Facebook Live is great, and fans and friends have been so generous. Like, for anybody that's watching and paying attention, thank you, and listening in. They've been amazing and so supportive, because there's many folks who have not been nearly as hard hit as financially as the musical world, and so that's just been we've just been really, really lucky with that. But I miss the live thing. I come here and I just start screaming out Chris Rock and yelling at everybody and just having I'm like, man, I'm out of the house. This is so fun, and I miss making music for real people. And I think for me that I've been doing a bunch of private Zoom shows, and that's been cool. because I like to see people's faces. I like to seeing them on the couches and seeing them. They'll get up and dance, and so I've done birthday parties or anniversary. Actually, a good friend Joyce that survived COVID. She was the first woman to get out of Mass General that was on a ventilator, and she made it. She's recovered. But so the stories are endless. But I'm really, really looking forward to getting back to it.
Yeah, having that kind of tangible connection rather than something through a screen.
And our friends and fans are like, man, please, follow closely. A bunch kind of friends with the Dave Matthews Band camp, and Fauci just came out and said the fall is when music will be back, and the Dave Matthews fans are like, we need the Gorge in July, so Fauci, can you bump it up a little bit? But I think that's another great thing about Vermont. Is just people are being so respectful and safe here. You hear about the cases. In L.A., ambulances are waiting 8 hours to just plain get a bed for somebody with COVID. I mean, it's like just perspective,
Right. We are very lucky to live in the state that we do live in.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear another song.
Cool.
Is this song also from during your time in quarantine?
It's pre-quarantine, but it relates to it. It's called Better Days, and it's to the people that are having a really hard time with depression. When you're stuck inside, the tendency is, if you're really bored, is to just get really sad and maybe start drinking or doing whatever you do when you get depressed, which makes it even worse when you're stuck in the same place. And so this song is for all you guys out there that might be feeling sad, and if you have friends out there that are having a hard time, just give them a call or even FaceTime so they can see your pretty faces. But this one is knowing that better days are to come. It's called Better Days. There's an empty feeling that I keep on getting as I wake each day. I see your eyes, they open with a sadness in them. It makes me want to say, you keep feeling we don't need you. So hear your voice and let it break through. You keep dancing in your own way. There's a place here for you in this world that needs you and your loving way. I find it in your heart, or maybe with the trees. Winds blow you through the fray. I wish I'd known about it and reached out for your hand, but you got away. You keep feeling we don't need you. You see your voice and let it break through, and you've been dancing in your own way. Yeah. Ain't nobody pushing your way. Come on. Don't let this world miss another day. You keep dancing in your own way. Hold on for better days. Hold on for better days. You gotta hold on, hold
Chad Hollister there with Better Days. So you were just mentioning before that song that some people hardest hit during this quarantine pandemic has been musicians. I mean, there's so many music venues being shutting down across the country. And there's a lot of bars that are obviously struggling as well at the moment. As you said, you're chomping at the bit to get out in front of a live audience again. And musicians, just a lot of them can't afford to continue as a band or whatnot. We were talking a little bit before you came on air, but you've been recently doing a benefit in order to help out with that. Is that right?
Yeah, I got a call from my buddy out of Boston, Mass, Adam Klein, letting me know about the New England Musicians Relief Fund, NEMRF.org is their site. And they have given out over $350,000 to musicians in need. Our percussionist, Yaoba Garcia, from Lowell, Mass. He received one. I just received one last week, so thankful. And they've been giving out $1,000 grants. And so my thinking was, all right, man, in these times, finding light is a little more difficult. And when I heard about this, I'm like, of course I'm going to apply, but it'd be great to get it, but it doesn't really matter. Not that it doesn't matter. It does matter. And I'm thankful. But is like, all right, let's put money back in the kitty with all these amazing musicians that I know in Vermont and that Adam knows. And we have an amazing team. Gabe Langford Rice, who was a co-founder, as well as Hazel, also another co-founder of NEMRF. He's also in the Vermont Symphony Orchestra. And then Dave is doing all our video together, and then we're putting it all together as a stream, but I'm going to do my part live from the Zen Barn in Waterbury. So working with Matt Dolliver and Noah Fishman. Noah's the owner, and Noah and Ari, great guys. And then Matt's helping put the stream together, and so it's Friday, January 22nd, and so we're celebrating many things. We're celebrating Vermont music. We're celebrating the moving on of a new administration coming in. Praise be, without heading too much into that. But it's really a focus on Vermont music and a focus on NEM, on New England Musicians Relief Fund. So we have amazing folks that have come in. You and I were talking about Bar Hill, Caledonia Spirits. They're in, and Lawson's Finest is in, and let's see, the amazing folks at National Life have come in, and just sponsors are coming out of the woodwork to kind of help us out. So we just are in huge appreciation of those guys helping make it possible to help refill the kitty, so that if you're listening right now and you're a musician in need, please apply. And there's a simple application form at nemrf.org. We'll make sure it's on the Big Heavy. It's actually already on the Big Heavy site, nice. But bigheavyworld.com. So yeah, man. But we're really excited. I've got some of my favorite musicians. We've got members of the Vermont Youth Orchestra, members of the Vermont Symphony Orchestra. We've got one of my dearest friends, Russ Lawton, who plays with Trey Anastasio, but has deep Vermont roots. He lives in Middlebury, and he did a solo. He's a drummer, but he's a great singer-songwriter. I knew him years ago when he was with the band, The Natives, and he was the drummer of that band. But he had this song called "Too Quick to Judge," and every time I see him, I'm like, "Too quick to judge," and he did that one because a lot of people don't know him as a singer-songwriter, and he's a great singer and great guitar player. So he did his song "Too Quick to Judge." Ryan Montbleu, that's living here in Burlington, he's doing a tune. Francesca Blanchard, she's doing a song. Members of a vocal group from the Kinhaven Music School, they're doing a number. It's just, it's Ray Vega, one of my jazz heroes. Man, we've never met, but Ray, I love you, man. I listened to him on VPR, and he's like, his jazz show is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's just such a great player.
What a character.
Yeah. Well, I've never met him, but I've heard such great things about him. That he's a whack job like most of us musicians.
Right.
But yeah.
I think that this benefit, it sounds wonderful, and I think there's a real beauty to it because it really does show the kind of breadth of different musical talents in Vermont.
Yeah.
And you just named a bunch of people, all of which are kind of across the spectrum when it comes to the kind of genres and their styles and who they're appealing to. I mean, as someone who's been in this industry and in this kind of culture for the past 20 years, how has that changed in Vermont specifically as a musician?
Well, I think, years ago when Fish came out, a lot of bands like moved here to be Fish, and it drove the heck out of me and my friends. Because it's like, listen, just because you moved to Burlington and play in odd time signatures and sing weird lyrics does not make you Fish. Like those guys have worked so hard at their craft, and have just found their niche, and they're killing it. I'm just like I've been real blessed to play with every one of them at different times. The evening that the only time in Fish history that Fishman wore a suit instead of a dress was on Letterman, and they taped Letterman at 5, and he flew back in and came down to sit in with us at Nectar's, and it was so fun. I celebrated his birthday with him at the Last Chance many years ago, and played with Trey at Club Toast with Merle Saunders and his Rainforest Band. Those guys were good friends of both Trey's and mine, and just jammed with all of them. Mike Gordon played with him, with Martin Gigi as well as Paige. But they're so as I go off and start name dropping, I apologize. But I think that the scene is so deep. I think that kind of waned. And bands just realized that wasn't gonna happen, and also I am quite out of touch really with the Burlington music scene because gigs aren't happening, but I don't really go out when I'm not on the road. I'm with my family. Mm-hmm. I'm with my wife and my kids, and just so I'm not. Really, when I'm out on the road, I go out and see music. If we're doing festivals, I love hanging with the other bands and getting to meet them and hear them because really a lot of times it's the only time bands get to hear other bands is at festivals. Mm-hmm. Unless you're in the same city on the same night, and we've had that happen a bunch of times where we crashed friends' gigs. Maybe a little after a few too many right. Bar Hills and Lawson's brews, but they that's okay. But yeah.
So you mentioned at the start of the show you're playing Radio Silence, and you said it's big Heavy World exclusive. Does that mean there is a new album coming out, a new record?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I think I might just be releasing some singles. Mm-hmm. I think it's especially in these times, it's become a little bit more. I've always been an album guy, so believe me, I've released 7 on my own, 5 really official ones. The Long-Haired Boy and the Chad and Jeff are kind of not really part of that, but 5 official. And I'm thinking that in these days I might just release a few singles and kind of put it out there. Because the cool thing about releasing singles is that each song gets attention. When you release an album, they say, what are your focus tracks? Say all of them, man. These are all good songs. I try not to really put fillers in my records, and not saying that I write all good songs. Some of them definitely suck, but I think that singles might be the way, for me. But eventually, certainly, there will be a new record. Yeah. And I'm just so excited that just. Over there is the Burlington record plant. I always have to put a shout out to Justin and his brother because we pressed our latest Stop the World there on vinyl. We released it on a CD, and then a year later we released it on vinyl. And there's nothing cooler than having vinyl.
I believe it's only one of 12 vinyl shops in the country.
It's the second smallest in the world.
Oh, there we go. Wow.
Yep. And they had one machine, I think, that was made in Germany, and then they somehow found the parts and built another one. So they have 2 presses. I literally went in and I pressed my own record. I mean, and the colors things that they do, it's beyond anything. It's the coolest musical thing I've ever done. I've done a lot of really cool things, but just going what people might seem to think is backwards is really forwards for me is reconnecting to the true sound. You know, everything used to be to 2-inch tape. You know, there's this thing about it. You know, these reels that we had when I was at White Crow and when I was recorded in L.A. I flew home or walked home with 2-inch tapes. You know, it's like meaty. And now it's just all these like zeros and ones digital floating crap. And I'm like, man, you know, so to like have something that you can put on a record player and play to your kids. And, you know, I'm putting on Ryan Mott Blues, Yes Darling for the kids. I'm putting on Etta James. I'm, you know, putting on James Brown. I'm putting on Booker T, and, you know, kind of giving them a history lesson of how it really should sound instead of on these crappy MP3s. You know, it's like this is the real guts, man. Kids, take note. You know, and they love music, so it's kind of, I think they hear me, but maybe they're just like, Dad's crazy.
There's something a bit more real about it, about having an actual tangible, physical record, and even more so when you actually get to see the thing being made itself.
Oh yeah, so. It was crazy. It was this gob, this blue gob, and it came out of this, you know, I don't know, this bin of sorts, and then it like just like slapping on this press, and then it's like this pancake thing, and it makes it, you know, and it's got your music on it. You know, they've got the metal plates on the top and on the bottom, and then it squishes it out and melts. I mean, have you been there?
I have, actually. When I first started doing Rocket Shop stuff, I went over and saw it and saw one being made. It was so cool.
There's nothing cooler.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And they just, the people there are great. Just, they're so cool and chill and like making real music. Yeah.
It's, I don't know, we've got them, and we've got there's a great custom guitar maker that's just down the road in the South End as well. Can't remember his name now. All got to go to his studio. And then we've got, like, you know, the dojo behind us. There's just a lot of great, this town is just fantastic when it comes to collaborative music. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. And that's why I love Big Heavy World and what Jim does here. And yeah, it's all part of it.
It is, man. It's deep. You know, there's such a thing about Burlington, Vermont. You know, and it's so much deeper than, you know, the immediate go-tos. You know, which is not. I mean, and that's really fun too. I mean, I've been a part of that scene. You know, but there's just like, you know, which of course Jimmy Lockridge can attest to with it. You know, it's crazy from, you know, Chin Ho to Screaming Broccoli to the Pants to, you know, the End Zones to Kilimanjaro, Big Joe Burrell, you know, to, you know, saw Matt's name over there, Matty Thorson, capturing it all on film, you know, R.I.P. brother. But just, it's crazy. You know, one of my favorite bands ever was Invisible Jet. Jesse Sargent, and I remember an evening, I think Aaron Flynn played. Aaron Flynn's another amazing singer-songwriter. And there's just so many like new ones. Like I listen to these radio shows that are happening, and the depth of Vermont music that I don't know that is so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do some more shedding and do some more homework, you know, to like find out and just reach out to them. Because I mean, you talk about collaboration. I love collaborating with different people, you know.
I think that's what makes, I mean, Burlington just, and Vermont in general, just so great. The sense of competition is there, but it's not in any way. There's no animosity there. There's no kind of malice. It's not, no one's dragging anyone down. Everyone's trying to help each other.
Yeah, there seems a really good vibe, like, you know, with that. And the names just keep popping into my head, you know, DuPont brothers.
Right,
know.
love those guys.
Love those dudes, you know. And clinically insane, which is what makes them really, really great. Yeah, and Brett Hughes, Brett Hughes is actually on the stream, and Dave Keller. You know, it's endless. You could leave, you know, I'm gonna get in my car and be like, I can't believe I didn't talk about those guys. You know, Strange Folk. You know, Russ Lawton actually that used to play drums with them, and you know those guys got their beginnings over in Winooski. You know, playing at the Middle Earth Cafe. And back when it was just John and Reed, you know. So yeah, there's just so much Channel 2 dub band, Lamb's Bread, you know. Oh man,
Lamb's Bread, it was formerly Death, which was
the
original proto-punk band.
Rough Francis, exactly. Yeah. The history, the story there. Oh, Yeah. I'm still waiting for my cult fan base to come find me. You know, like, oh man, we've been listening to you since we were.
You're waiting for Joey Ramone to invite you to his birthday party.
You have? Let's make a movie about it. Bobby, Dennis, Hackney Brothers, come on. Let's do this. Yeah. No, it's crazy. It is. It's endless.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Chad.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Real fun. And I like your accent, man. Where are you from?
I'm from Manchester, England.
Of course you are. I was listening to women on the old what do we call it? Not on the telly, but what do you call the radio in England?
No, just the radio.
Just the radio. Damn, I wanted it to be cool. She was from Nottingham, and I'd been to Nottingham. I was saying in the car, I was saying, is it Nottingham or is it Nottingham?
It depends where you're from.
So what would you say?
I would say Nottingham.
Nottingham. Oh, yeah. That's smashing, baby.
Yeah.
Nottingham.
Right. Yeah, depending on where you're from, definitely changes the intonations and the tones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But living here for the last 6 years now.
You still got the accent, brother.
I don't think I'm ever going to lose it at this point.
If you freaking start freaking talking like this, you freaker, you know you got a little bit of Vermont in ya.
That's when I get the next plane home, I think.
No. Embrace your Vermont. Come on.
Well, we'd love to hear one last song before you go. So what have you got for us?
Let's see. I'm not sure. I think. So you can choose. Do you want a newer one, or do you want a kind of an old school one? Jim, do you have a song that you dig? Is there anything you?
Let's get Jim on this one. Jim.
Oh, I'd have to look at titles. Putting Jimmy on the spot. New.
Bob is with new. Yeah, go on.
Oh, really? Okay, all right. That's that. See, there it is. This goes out to Jimmy Lockridge and Big Heavy World and just all you guys for continuing to archive VT music. It means the world to us. And this goes back to 1998 and the Chad record that I flew out to Los Angeles to make with Charlie Midnight and Martin Gigi. Martin Gigi actually will be on the stream as well. Anyway, but yeah, so this is Jerry's Gone, and we'll see y'all again real here soon. All right. Jerry's gone, now where you gonna go? Might as well sell the old bus, maybe head to Mexico. Time to get a job waiting tables at good old Flo's. Take a few showers, don't forget to wash your toes. You've been twirling around for your whole life. It ain't bad to twirl my sweet little girl until the morning light. I don't got no miracle, I don't got no way, no chew. Spent $50, I ain't giving it up for some lost soul like you. Come on, Jerry's gone, now where you gonna go? Might as well sell the old bus, maybe head to Mexico, yo. It's time to get a job, waiting tables at good old Flo's. Hey, take a few showers, don't forget to wash your toes. Any old stadium will fill it with tie-dye. Colors so sweet and warm and pleasing to the eye. So what are we gonna do now without our box of rain? We're gonna hop on board the good old horde on good old KC's train. Jerry's gone, now where are you gonna go? Might as well sell that old bus, maybe head to Mexico, yo. Time to get a job, waiting tables at good old Flo's. Take a few showers, don't forget to wash your toes. Show is over, the lights are coming down. The stage is gone, the tent's still up, dude, there's no next town. Don't you feel like a stranger, but it's time to get a life? A whole new dish with a band named Fish and a weasel named Feet to boot, to boot. Oh, Jerry's gone, now where you gonna go? Might as well sell the old bus, maybe head to Mexico. Tequila, time to get a job when your tails you get up flows. Gotta take a few showers, don't forget to wash your toes. Jerry's gone, now where you going? Where you gonna go? Might as well sell the old bus, maybe head way down to Mexico. Time to get a job when your tails you get up flows. Hey, take a few showers, don't forget to wash your toes. Take a few showers, don't forget to wash them toes. Take a few showers, don't forget to wash your toes.
All right, Chad Hollister, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a real pleasure.
Tom, thanks for having me, man. What a pleasure.
So we are going to take a break from Big Heavy from the Rocket Shop next week. So catch us again on January 27th. But for tonight, this has been The Radiator. It's been the Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night.